Hello and welcome. It is garage sale season, and I thought it would be a good idea to talk about buying a vintage sewing machine out in the wild. I want to talk about price, condition, things to look for, and just little tidbits like that. All right, let's talk price. That's what everyone wants to talk about up front. So, now I'm not an expert restorer, I'm just an amateur tinkerer. I'm learning, but I am a professional shopper. I've raised 4 children. I have an eye for frugal buys. Now, I'm gonna say something that everyone hates to hear, but it's the honest truth. Price is what you wanna pay for it. Now, if you fell in love with a machine out in the wild and they're asking $50 to $100, and you're searching in a Facebook group, is this the right price to pay? You're gonna get the same response. People are like, it's whatever you wanna pay for it, that's the price. So I have an example for you. This is a Singer 66 Red Eye. It gets the little nickname from the little red eye. It's a fairly common machine. I've seen this go for $35 to a couple $100. I personally paid up for this machine because it came in a really beautiful case. It's got a Bentwood case. It's been converted. It is from 1912. It spoke to me. I paid $100 for it out in the wild at a thrift store. I did have to do some restoration on it, but it's a fairly common machine. I've seen on Marketplace in particular wild price ranges asking thousands of dollars for a machine with it's really nothing special. How you can find out if something is actually rare and special is by looking it up on its serial number. So sewing machines tend to have serial numbers. I don't know for sure about every machine. There's lots of clones and brands out there that I don't have experience with, but I have 2 for you today. So like I said, the Singer 66, it actually has its serial number right here in the front. And there is a website and app that you could look up that serial number, and it will give you a good amount of information on this machine. It will tell you when it was made, what model it is, how many it was made usually, and sometimes where it was made. And you can kind of then go to a marketplace such as eBay and check the sold listings and see what the average price is that someone has sold one for. That's the way I price things. So this is probably the most that I've paid for a machine. I don't own a featherweight. That is the one exception to the rule. I've only seen a featherweight out in the wild one time in a thrift store, and they were asking $400 for it. I'm personally unsure if I need a featherweight for my collection, but I know that's a thing that people really are out to get. So those prices can be quite high. This is my higher end price, and I'll show you a more average price point for me. On the other end of my spending spectrum for vintage sewing machines, this is a Montgomery Deluxe zigzag machine. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the year, but I paid $14 for this machine. It came in a beautiful case. It has all the parts. It's cosmetically beautiful. I do have it currently torn apart. Here's the motor right here. I'm waiting for some new brushes for it. Beautiful machine, $14. Hard to say no. This tends to be on the lower end of the price range for me. On average, I personally spend $15 to $30 on a vintage machine out in the wild. I have been lucky. There are a lot in my area, and I often share clips of that on my Instagram. So if you're interested in seeing what I find out in the wild, definitely check out my Instagram. I share those videos often whenever I take them. So after price, I look for things about the machine. Does it have all of its pieces? Namely, if it applies, does it have the foot pedal and power cord? Now, I will say, if you are buying a machine in a cabinet, it could have a knee pedal, so that's something that you can look for. And I also believe there's a funky little foot pedal too that's attached to cabinets, certain cabinets. So if you think it might be missing, just really look over the cabinet to see. I have a few knee pedal machines. My daily driver is actually a knee pedal powered machine. So things to look for there. Next, I actually physically mess around with the machine. Does the hand wheel turn? Does the needle bar drop up and down? If you can turn it on, there are some places that will not let you turn on the machine, which is kind of dumb, but you know, just to see if it powers on. Then I look for the bobbin. Now, that sounds a little crazy because it's such a little thing, but the bobbin, and I decided to use the Montgomery word here for the example, they do come in different sizes. And sometimes that could be a pain in the butt to figure out. It's not the end of the world, but if you are new and are unfamiliar with bobbins, you need to look up to see what is the correct bobbin to get for your machine. And if you happen to find a machine that has a shuttle bobbin, definitely make sure to open that up and physically look to see that bobbin is in there, because those are definitely harder to find. And the final thing that I personally look for is cosmetics. You can tell from my previous machine that I just showed, the Singer 66, she's been used. And in high contrast, this Montgomery ward looks like it was never used. That's gonna be a personal preference. Some collectors really want a pristine machine. That to me is not important. To me, what's important is the function of the machine. Gauging on whether or not I could fix something if it appears to be broken. A good example is my most recent FOF machine. I found that at Goodwill. I paid $35 for that, and it was locked up. Cosmetically, she didn't look like she had a lot wrong with her. I decided to take a chance for $35, bring her home to see if I can unstick her. That was a personal decision for me. Now you'll have to weigh that yourself, whether or not you can unstick a machine or clean it up. So what I would recommend doing at that point is searching online real quick to see what others have done to build confidence or, you know, or not, whether or not you think that you are handy enough to tackle that. Those are basically the things that I look for. I consider price. What am I willing to pay? Then I do a little light research on the model if I'm unfamiliar with it. Again, I use that app and the website. I check for pieces that I think the machine should have. And then lastly, cosmetics. Do I think I have the confidence to clean it up and get it going again if it seems to be in bad condition? I'm pretty brave with these machines because I have such a desire to use them and save them. If you're just starting this hobby, you want to get into slow fashion for yourself on a budget, again, you can find a $14 machine out in the wild that fully functions. You might have to do a little repair. You can look that up and see if you're confident enough to do that, and you can get going on a great hobby. I hope my tips are helpful and give you some inspiration to go out there and keep your eyes peeled for what could be out there in garage sale season and out in the wild. Let me know if there's anything that you do in particular when you're out shopping for a vintage machine. And until next time, bye. One tip I did want to say for marketplace selling is that a lot of people will post this thinking that this is the serial number information on the machine. So if you are new to the game, definitely ask for that front decal picture with the actual serial number. This is just the motor. Because I just wanted to talk about it. So you can do it.